Jim Duncan with Nest Realty here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Sitting here with Greg Slater.
Yep, I'm with Nest Realty as well. We know while we're not growing our inventory through the resale right now, we are keeping up with last year. So we know we could forecast how many homes are going to come on in Albemarle County if it's consistently. Just look at how many we did last year. So anyway, the inventory is going to grow into the spring market, and so we're having more and more conversations with sellers right now about how to price their homes. What is your approach when developing pricing strategies as it pertains to realizing, and this is not just something that happens in this market, it happens our entire career. We're pricing homes off of comps from sometimes last spring.
Right.
And so how are you handling the conversation about the perfect comp is 8 to 12 months ago? What does that mean to the value of that home in 2024? Do you think are you making an adjustment to that comp for appreciation in 2024?
I'm trying to, but I think that the challenge is finding the comp, because we haven't had not that many sales relative to the previous few years. So finding the data is critical. But also, I know you mentioned earlier you don't like anecdotes, but I try to talk to agents who have things under contract or were involved in bidding wars and get a sense of where the value might be. So it's not a hard data number, but if there's a house that it was on the market for 500 and went under contract in came on Thursday, under contract Monday, but then you hear it had 13 offers or 2 offers or it didn't get any offers. So I think that and it sits for another 2 weeks. It's that sort of real time context that matters, and a lot of it's guessing. Professional guessing of they had 13 offers, and I heard that it went for about 13% over asking price, and then maybe dial back from that because I don't want to price it too high, because the buyers know this market. My buyer clients, I get them to a point where they know their market band, as I call it, like 5 to 650, 4-bed, 2-bath, or whatever. They probably know it better than I do. Because I like to joke that my clients don't actually work; they just sit there and look at Zillow all day. So I think that they know the market as well, if not better than I do, for that narrow band. So when they get that thing on their phone, the new listing, they instinctively know, okay, I need to see that tomorrow, or all right, that's overpriced.
Well, I find myself, if I'm having a conversation and it's 3, 4, 5 weeks ahead of when the home's actually going to hit the market, I'm like, I can't tell you what I think the price is yet, because something's going to happen between now and then that's going to be more relevant than anything that happened in the past, and we're going to learn everything we can learn about it. If nothing comes on to impact the value of your home between now and then, we're going to rely on those comps. And then obviously we have to put it in the context of their situation. Right. Then the price point, when you come up against one of the big price breaks, you have to consider that. But yeah, no, I work harder than I've ever worked to try to develop a pricing strategy. And of course, there's the layer of what's best from the client's perspective and where they want to put it on the risk-reward meter.
Yeah. I'm bringing one on in Forest Lakes in the next few weeks. And I candidly told my client, said, here's where I think the number is. We're going to revisit this.
That's right. I have one in the Highlands, right?
Yeah.
And which is going to be in the 300s, which you would think would be 50 showings and 20 offers, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think what you said, you were talking about demand. You have to have a feel for demand to price a home right now. Right. And I think at 7% interest rates, that has curtailed that pool of buyers who are ready to buy at different price points.
Financially and psychologically, and stepping back to what we're talking about, that buyer fatigue is a very real thing. When they look at the numbers and they recognize, well, I either have to renew my lease in April or force myself into a house in the next 3 weeks.
Playing chicken.
It's a hard conversation to guide them through. But from a pricing perspective, I think the sellers need to recognize that we're going to look at the comps. At least I am. I know you are going to show them the data and let them and guide them to make that decision on their own. Because I'm not the one that I tell my mom used to say this: not my money, not my life. If I say the range is 5 to 525 and you want to go to 575, we're going to have a conversation. Right. If you want to go to 5 to 525 and you want to go to 465, we'll have a different conversation and sort of set expectations. But pivoting for a second, one thing that I think with my buyers and my sellers, I try to level set. And meaning that if they're looking in the 5 to 650 price point, we look back at 2023 and say, okay, well, 73 homes came on the market that might have fit. So when one of those comes on, we have that conversation. And if 17 came on the market, in 2023 that fits fits your criteria, we have a very different conversation.
Yeah, so I've had people that came into the market in January ready to buy a home, and we have gone a few weeks in some cases without anything to even consider and to go look at. You know, the other thing I came back to, and you even shared something on social media about someone writing about this recently. I do it for every pricing strategy I do now, whether I'm trying to help a buyer determine what something's worth or a seller, and that's calculating that payment on that home at this interest rate and at different interest rates, and maybe. You know, I find myself, if the best comp I can find is far enough back, I go figure out what the interest rate was for that time. I pull up the 10-year graph and I scroll back to that date when that contract was written and figure out what the interest rate was when that price was achieved, and then compare it to, you know, how much interest rates move, because that payment matters.
Absolutely.
When it comes to that final value of the home. Someone's got to be able to afford it on a monthly basis.
Closing thought?
You know, I think this year, at least for the foreseeable future, is going to feel like last year. I'm going to continue to rely on those level of activities. That's a barometer of what's going on to set expectations. And every month, I'm going to look at the numbers to see if we're seeing any signs of softening or loosening or whatever word you want to use. And right now, I don't see it. Yeah. And I still feel like there are more buyers trying to get into Charlottesville than there are sellers trying to get out. Or at least willing to take the pain of making a move within this market. And so we're just going to have to take it 1 month at a time and one transaction at a time and just keep working through this. Yeah.
And for my seller clients, you know, the pricing is key. I mean, it has been for 20 years, but I think now, I say this every year, more than ever, pricing is critical to get it right from day one. I think you said years ago we were talking, and you said something like in that market, price it to go into contract in 30 days or less. And now I think it's more than like 15 to 17 days. I'm Jim Duncan with Nest Realty, 434-242-7140.
And I'm Greg Slater with Nest Realty, 434-981-6655. We give out our cell numbers because we answer our phones and we like to talk.
Well said.